1. This is Wednesday, October 9th, year of our Lord 2019. Happy birthday, my little sister Karen.
Happy birthday, Spencer.
Happy birthday, Spencer.
Happy birthday. We already had
Karen. Why?
Really?
Why?
That's our favorite name.
What's wrong with
Yeah, we
Karen?
love
No,
it.
it's
Our favorite name.
Why? How did you arrive at your favorite name being Karen?
Happy. Whoa. Is it because of managers? Does she ask Spencer or Karen?
What?
Okay.
Karen, Noah.
It's just a meme.
No, it's not a meme. That's Keith. I have Keith got it. Yeah.
Oh, Preston.
Yeah.
See how quickly Bella was pointing you out there? Like, hey, he's got to take it too.
I don't think
There you go, Press.
excited. I don't think excited. You think he's really excited? I don't know.
Okay, away we go. Page 106. Answer these questions. You don't have to write these. Just answer them. I'll call on you. Don't blurt it out. Ready? John Mitchell, 5 is the blank of -5. What word goes in that blank? Opposite. Very good. Number 2. 6 is the blank in the expression 6x. What is the 6 called? Let me help you out. It's not the variable. X is the variable. X varies. What's the 6 called? Look how high my voice just went. What's the 6 called? Jaden?
Coefficient.
Outstanding. Coefficient. Say that word, Zacchaeus. Coefficient. That's the number that goes with, that's attached to the variable. Number 3. What shows that two expressions are equal? An equal sign, so we call that an equation. Number 4. Quickly, we're supposed to solve these using mental math. Real quick. Isaac, what's the answer to 4? Too late. No, go ahead. What's X?
Oh, 6.
6. Number 5, what's X? Casey.
7.
No. Who blurted that out? Led her astray. What's X, Case?
I can't think
Something minus 2 gives you 9.
9 plus 2.
11. Number 6. Ethan. 8. Number 7. Lauren.
7.
Number 8. Kiara. 3. Number 9. Sid.
Negative. No. 4.
4 minus 3 equals 1. Number 10. David.
1.
1. Number 11. Elise. 0. Number 12. -3 minus 2 plus 8. Again, you don't have to write these, but let's see if we can do these mentally. Ready? You got a -3 and a -2. If you combine those two together, you got -5. What's -5 plus 8? Signs are different. Find the difference. Use the sign of the larger set. +3. Number 13. You got +3 and +2. That's 5. You got -7 and -1. That's -8. Put those two together. -8, +5. Signs are different. Find the difference. Use the sign of the larger. Cam. -3. Number 14. In parentheses. Well, outside the parentheses, you've got a -2. So there's 2 ways you can do it. But if you go inside the parentheses, you got 3 plus 1, which is 4. What's -2 times 4? -8. -8 plus 2. Brett. -6. Number 15. Inside the parentheses, you got 1 minus 4. What's 1 minus 4, Ethan? Not 3. -3. What's 8 times -3? What's negative 24 minus 9?
30.
-15.
Negative 24 minus 9. Think temperature. Negative 24 minus 9.
B33.
Negative 33. All right. Number 16. A tsunami wave caused by an underwater earthquake travels across the ocean at 500 miles per hour. You guys weren't even born when that happened, were you? There was a very tragic tsunami in Southeast Asia. I forget what year it was, but I think it was before you were born now. I think about it. But anyway, have you ever heard of it? You never even heard of that?
I think it is.
Write and solve an equation to find how far it travels in 15 minutes. How would you do that? Let's go. Put your thinking caps on. A tsunami. There's an underground earthquake. The tsunami, 500 miles per hour. That's why they didn't have much time to react, and so many people died. 500 miles per hour. Write and solve an equation to find how far it travels in 15 minutes. What's the formula for distance? We want to know how far something travels, so we bring to mind this. D equals RT. Distance equals rate times time. What did they tell us? They told us the rate. What's the rate? How fast is it traveling? 500. And they told us the time. 15 minutes. Well, if I want to know miles per hour, how could I write 15 minutes? It's going at a rate of 500 times
15.
and then it's going to give me a minute, and I'll have to convert. If you want to do 15, we could do 15. We would do, what's that? How would I express 15 minutes if I want to get an answer that says, go ahead,
1/4.
1/4, so I could use 1/4 or 0.25, which the books using 0.25. So it'd be 500 times 0.25, and the answer is 125 miles. Does that make sense?
Yes.
500, distance is 500 miles and a quarter of an hour. 15 minutes is a quarter of an hour. I want to express it. Make sense? So distance is 125. 500 times 0.25 is 125. Yeah? Okay. All right. Now we get to use what we know to solve problems. Not evaluate, not just plug values in like you've been doing. We're going to solve problems, and it brings back those two, what was that A word I used at the beginning of the year? It was like a weird word, like a truth, an algebraic truth. Nice job. She's all over vocab this morning. Algebraic axioms, there's these truths. Listen, if I add the same thing to both sides of an equation, it's still true. You with me? If I add the same thing to both sides of an equal sign, then it's still a true statement. Does that make sense? If I have 30 over here and 6 times 5 over here, they're equal, aren't they? Well, if I add 5 to this side, now I got 35. But if I add 5 to this side, I still got 35. They're still equal. So whatever I do to one side of an equal sign, I have to do to the other. Does that make sense? Or they're no longer equal if I don't. So keep that in mind. Whatever I do to one side of an equal sign, I must do to the other. Now here's the second part. In order for me to solve an equation, solve for x, the equation is going to have a variable in it. In order for me to solve for x, my job is going to be to get x by itself. I'm going to want to know what x equals. Remember, x is a variable. We've already covered that. Once we find out what x is, that's not always what x is. Did I tell you the story about the kid that thought once we found out what x was, that's what x is always going to be? No, that's why it's called starts with a V, variable, because it always changes. So your job's always going to be to find out whether it's an x or a y or an n or an r, to get down to what does that equal. And how you're going to do it, you're going to take what they did to the letter, and you're not going to believe it, but I just heard this song this morning. You're going to take what they did to the letter and you're gonna
Undo it.
undo it. No Carrie Underwood fans?
Yes.
And that song was probably before you were born. So you're gonna undo what they do to the variable and do it to both sides. Are you ready to dive in?
Yeah.
Go to page 109. All right, if you look right in the middle of page 109, you're going to see a phrase highlighted. Inverse operation. Read that for me. Come on, say it.
Inverse
Okay, what is an inverse operation? An inverse operation is when you undo something. Okay? It says an inverse operation is an operation that undoes another operation. Addition and subtraction undo each other. They're like opposites. Does that make sense? Multiplication and division are, so use the phrase,
Inverse.
inverse operations. If I take the number 6 and I multiply it by 3, what do I get?
18.
And then I do the inverse. I divide by 3. Now what do I got?
6.
I'm back to 6. They undo each other. If I take 7 and add 4, what do I get?
11.
What if I do the inverse? What if I subtract 4? Where am I at?
7.
I'm back to 7. Does that make sense? Okay, so watch this. Let's say it's not a 7. Let's say it's an x. What if it's x plus 4 equals 11?
7.
Okay, I want to get x by itself. What am I going to do? I'm going to undo what they did and do it
7.
to both sides. So I'm going to go x. They got x plus 4. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take away 4. Why am I taking away 4? Because that'll give me just what over here? What's 4 minus 4?
0.
That'll give me just x over there. That's what I want to know. I got to get down to what is x. I'm solving for x. What did I do to this side of the equation? Subtracted 4. What must I do to that side?
Subtract 4.
Subtract 4. And that's how x equals 7.
How do you do x plus 4 minus 4?
Because what did they do to the x in the problem? They added 4 to it. I'm going to do the inverse. I'm going to undo it.
It's just x plus 0.
So I'm going to do 4, take away 4. Is this an equal sign? If this is an equal sign, if this is an equation, that's what I started with. If I don't treat them equally, is it still equal?
No.
No. So if I take 4 away from this side, Sid, why did I take 4 away? Because they added 4 to the x. What's my job? I want to know what x is. So I've got to get this down to what does x equal? Get rid of everything that's attached to the x. If they added to the x, what am I going to do?
Subtract.
If they subtracted from the x, what am I going to do?
Add.
If they divided the x, let's say it was like this. If they had x divided by something, what am I going to do? Multiply by that something. If they multiplied something times x, what am I going to do? I'm going to divide by 6.
And then you just get
And then this is an equal sign. That makes it a true statement. If I do something to one side, I must do to the other. That's it. That's it. And we complicate it in our brains. That's it. It's only 2 things you got to remember. Whatever they do to the x, undo it. How? Inverse operation. Do the opposite. And do the same thing to both sides. And you'll get your solution. All right. No questions pressed. All right. If you look at the green box, the little notebook guy on page 109, what's he saying? He's saying what we already said. Look, subtracting the same number from each side makes it an equivalent equation. It's still going to be equal. You read that? Okay. Go to page 110. Top of page 110. It's the addition property. What's it going to say? I don't even have to look. It's going to say adding the same number to each side. It stays equal. It's an equivalent equation. Got it, LP? Let's go. Let's get to work. We are working already. Let's go to, well, I had you say it a couple times. Number 1, top of page 111. Addition and subtraction are what kind of operations? Inverse. They undo each other. They're like opposites. Hey, you ever watch X Games? Nobody watches X Games? Like, they're on their bikes, they do all these flips, and or it's on snow, and they do, what's that? Pretend games? No. Anyway, so, forget it then, if you haven't seen it. All right, number 2. X plus 10 equals 16. What's your answer going to be?
6.
Okay, now wait. Here's the only bad news for you.
You have to write it out.
The only bad news is, earlier in today's lesson, we did it mentally. I'm not allowed to let you do it mentally. You can beg and plead, say, Mr. Frankie, come on. I know the answer. And Zacchaeus will have the answer right, and he'll get his test back, and it'll be -2. Problem's worth 4 points. He'll say, what are you doing? I got the answer right. No, there's some things I have to make you show your work. So for number 2, you don't have to write this yet. For number 2, this is what it would look like. It says X plus 10 equals 16. You already know mentally that X is going to be 6, right? But here's how you do it according to everything we just talked about. You're going to do the opposite of what they did to the X. Somebody raise their hand. Tell me, what did they do to the X? Raise your hand. Be recognized. Isaac.
Added 10.
They added 10. So you know what Isaac's going to do? He's going to undo that addition of 10 by subtracting 10. So underneath that, he's going to write X plus 10 minus 10. It's an equal sign. So if he took 10 away from this side, what must he do to that side to maintain the equality? Take 10 away. And guess what he has over here now? What's 10 minus 10? Nothing. He's just got X over here. What's 16 minus 10?
6.
And that's how you didn't write it, but you kind of did that in your head. When you looked at that and said, oh, it's 6. You computed in your head real quick the difference. You computed in your head the difference between 16 and 10. And that's how you got 6. So you're doing it in your head. You just got to put it on paper. Take 10 away from both sides. Who remembers how to check?
You did the opposite.
How do you check? No, look. What did you say what did you say X equal? 6. So how am I going to check it? Elise says, why don't I put 6 up here where the X is? If they're saying the X is 6, oh, yep, it's true. I did it right. Everybody got
You
it?
have to write that down?
Everybody got it? Okay. Let's do one more. 12. You don't have to write this one down yet. 12 equals X minus 8. This is number 3.
Yeah.
What did they do to the X? Oh, by the way. So the X is on this side this time. Who cares? Doesn't matter which side it's on. Right? It doesn't matter if you end up with X equals something on the left. All right. What did they do to the X? So what are you going to do, Jordan? If they subtracted 8, you're going to add 8. You're going to undo what they did. So you're going to say, well, what's negative 8 plus 8?
8.
No, negative 8 and 8.
0.
That's what you want. You want nothing left over here but the X. 12 plus 8, 20. Is it true? Look, put 20 up here for X. 12 equals 20 minus 8. Is that true?
Yes.
Then you did it right. Could you put it on top of the Browns can there? Not insinuating that it's a bad test because it's on top of the Browns can. I didn't mean, Preston, that is not a judgment on your test. By putting it on the trash can, I mean the Browns can, I get to say it because I'm Browns. Just for a week. Sunday might be back on top again. Who knows? Each week's a different challenge. All right, ready to get to work? Hello, 6 through Let's just do 6 through 20 for now. Hopefully you get done with 6 through 20 by 10:45. Go.
When we get out, decide to use the button.
Yes.
And also, I have a question. Like, it's due tomorrow, right?
No.
Friday?
Oh, the test is due tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. I don't get this.
You don't get what?
6. I don't even
What's
get it.
the inverse of adding 4? Yes, you do get it.
Well, I don't know what it is.
So for number 9, you have to do the.
Number 9, you gotta do this, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, too much chatter. This is what number 9 will look like. That's the book. This is what Elise is gonna write. R plus 2, haha, minus 2. Same thing to both sides, minus 2. R equals 5, circle it, done. You knew it was going to be 5. I have to see the word. Here's the problem on your test. You got 25 of these on a quiz or a test, right? 4 points each. I go through, oh, R equals 5, correct. But if all you did was say R equals 5, you didn't have this, minus 2. Now you do all of them that way, you get a 50% of the test, you got them all right. Mr. Franken's mean? No. I have to make sure you're following the algebraic process because, why, Preston? Are all the problems always going to be so easy to compute in your head? No. No. Believe it or not, there's some that even I can't compute in my head in a few seconds.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, I'd have to...
8 divided by 2.
It smelled really bad when I walked in here, and now, what's cooking for lunch?
I know.
I'm starting to smell like
Oh, it is candy.
pancakes.
Syrup.
I'm never eating soup.
I
I eat grilled cheese, but now I want grilled cheese, but I had salad. Yeah, I want grilled cheese.
Okay, let's go. Let's go. Our goal is to be done through number 20 within the next 8 minutes. Let's go.
Wait,
I didn't write it on the board. I want to last time then. I can't do it.
That number is.
I'm not taking it.
6.
alright.
So.
What's number 6?
Noah, here's number 9.
Number 5. You would have got it.
You better teach it.
Hey, no.
Yeah.
Whatever you do to one side of an equation, you gotta do to the other.
Yeah, so wouldn't 6 be
Look,
8? Or 4 or 0?
where are you? Number 6 where?
Like, isn't 6
Number 6, what's the opposite of adding?
subtracting?
So your answer is subtract 4.
Oh.
Inverse means opposite.
I love that smell.
If I'm in those X Games and I'm on my skateboard or my little bike and I go on the half pipe, you know what the half pipe is?
Yeah, no.
It goes up like this,
Yeah.
okay? And I'm upright like this, and I go up on the half pipe and I invert. Now what am I? Upside down.
Oh, yeah, you're like, you do like all these.
I thought you did number 12. Wait, never mind. No,
All right, hot. Chatterbox.
I know.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have to check? Read it out. I think you might have said this,
It
but.
doesn't say so.
Okay. No, I mean, I do it all the time, but it's like, right?
Can I do number 3? Can you do 12?
12, 6 plus X equals 8. Here's number 12. I got to get X by itself. Preston. Number 12 might present a problem for you because the X isn't first. Okay. You want to rewrite it to make yourself feel better? You can rewrite it like this. X plus 6 equals 8. If that makes you feel better, because remember, addition is, starts with a C,
Commutative.
commutative. So you could write 6 plus X or X plus 6. don't let this throw you because they threw the x in the middle there.
Yeah.
It's still x plus 6. So how do you undo it? You know that song? I'm not kidding.
Do it.
I'm doing this lesson today,
I know
and
that
I
song.
heard it this morning. I
know
haven't heard
it.
that song in years. All
I've never even, no, I've never heard
right, look,
I know that.
Preston, what do I got to do here? They added 6 to the x. What do I got to do? That's right. X plus 6 minus 6. Preston, is this an equal sign? Is that an equal sign right there? Okay, if I take 6 away from this side, if it's still going to be equal, don't I have to take 6 away from this side? If I don't, it's not equal anymore. So I've got to take 6 away from the right side as well. So 6 minus 6 is nothing. X equals 2. You knew it was going to be 2. I mean, come on. First grader, come up. Remember in first grade you got stuff like this? 6 plus, they put a box there.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You don't remember that? And you had to put the 2 in the box?
I don't remember 6 plus.
So that's why I got to make you show your work, because a first grader can just put a 2 in the box for the x. You're at the foundation, the beginning stages of learning how to solve equations that are going to get much more complicated than 6 plus 2 equals 8. Fractions, decimals. Yes, ma'am. Number 17, 24 equals 52 plus n. Did you say that's easy?
I think.
Not allowed to say.
You're not allowed to say that something's easy. If another student has a question, you're not allowed to say that's easy. Okay, what's it say again? 54 equals,
No, 24 equals 52 plus RCL. I voted D.
okay, all eyes up here, this is number 17. Brett, is 52 plus n the same as n plus 52? You're hesitating. Is 52 plus n the same as n plus 52? Okay, watch. I'm gonna do a shortcut. Instead of rewriting it, x plus 6 like I did over here, 6 plus x, watch this. Some of you will be interested in this because this will count as showing your work. Ready? If they added 52 to n, I'm just going to, underneath of here, go like this. Minus 52. That'll leave me with just what over here? And under here, I'm going to write minus 52. So now you're back to the rules you learned last week. What is positive 24 minus 52? Signs are different. Find the difference. Use the sign of the larger.
So it's 17, 16,
That's 17.
yeah, I know, 16 would you put it third, and so now minus, I have plus.
No, that's okay. This is good. You should do that.
But I don't want it. Wait, can you do number 16?
What's number? Yeah, just do 20.
Wait, you do it.
I'm hoping everybody's done in 2 minutes and we'll check.
Can you help with numbers?
Yeah.
You pass it, that's 3 minutes.
What time's the bell ring?
3 minutes.
I thought it was 48.
Here,
Oh,
hold
46.
on. Hurry, hurry. This is homework. 46.
All right, I'll give it to you on the way out because, listen, in about 45 seconds, I'm going to quickly run through the answers to 9 through 20. Okay? And then we'll get ready to dismiss. So open your stuff there, Spence, see if you get them right.
I don't know how to do number 16.
Anybody else done with number 20? Got a couple people done.
No, not even. It's because we had an extra period.
No, that actually.
Because you guys had chapel.
Okay. I was hoping to continue on, so I guess that's your homework, 6 through 20, and we'll pick up with multiplication and division tomorrow. Same idea. You're going to do the inverse. Same thing to both sides. Today it's just 6 through 20, page 111.